What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the More We Know podcast. My name is Mir, your host. The More We Know podcast is a mentorship platform. So instead of just thinking of a podcast where you interview people, I've launched a mentorship platform to provide you real life mentorship from around the world. So whoever you are, wherever you are, whether you have money, you don't have money, whether you have a job, don't have a job, whether you're in school, aren't in school, we bring you real mentors in your pocket to learn from them so you could make those changes you need in your life and make it accessible for everyone. So today's episode is number 30. It's our 30th mentor. The YouTube videos are a little bit behind on the actual video podcast on Apple and Spotify, but you can always stay up to date on Apple and Spotify. But the guest today is Josh Weber. So if you haven't heard of who he is, look him up on Google. He's a Canadian award-winning independent filmmaker. He's also a director, a producer, a screenwriter. Recently, there was some drama going on with him and that legendary guy, Dame Dash, which the lawsuit, and he actually won the lawsuit. And in this podcast, he dives into that, which could be a good educational piece for you guys, especially if you're ever involved in a lawsuit, to learn from stuff like this so you can educate yourself. So if you guys enjoy this content, please like, comment, subscribe, and join the community, because it really incentivizes me to continue building something like this if I know that there's people in the community doing it with me. So thank you guys so much. The more we know, the more we grow. I'll see you guys in this episode right now. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the More We Know podcast. The More We Know is a mentorship podcast for people to get mentorship from people around the world, experts in their field, and provide you real life mentorship literally in your pocket. Today, we have a phenomenal guest. He's a friend of mine now. He's an amazing award-winning movie director. So Josh Weber is a Canadian award-winning independent filmmaker, director, producer, and screenwriter. He's a graduate of the New York Film Academy in New York City. He's pursued a career working on commercials, television programs, short and feature films. He's worked with some heavy hitters. He recently was in the news over winning a beautiful, amazing case that we're going to talk about. But Josh is the who's who in the movie industry. He's a director. He's doing it big. Josh, thanks for coming on today.
I'm happy to be here.
Josh, it's such a pleasure to have you on and actually connect virtually. So we were speaking beforehand and didn't realize that Josh and I never actually had a formal conversation. We always connected on social media, but never got to really formally talk. So Josh, how about you walk us through, man? You're a movie director, but that's such a tough industry to get into, man. Can you walk us through your actual journey and how you got to where you got to?
Yeah, super challenging business to get into. For years, I used to tell people, it's easy. You could do it. You could do it, bro. It's easy, right? And I just came to the realization recently that it's easy for certain breeds of people, but it's not easy for the majority of society. It takes a great amount of determination and self-confidence and grit to really make it in this industry. And even if you have all that, who knows how far you get? It's a constant game of just getting up and fighting those battles and achieving. How I got started was at 21. I went to film school in New York City. Realized I had a passion for making movies. And then at 22, I moved to LA to pursue a internship out here, which unfortunately I couldn't take because I was no longer in school. And then shortly after that, I got into a car accident and realized life is short. And, if you're going to do something, you better get up and do it while you have the opportunity to do so. And I took the money from the car accident and I put it into my first film project. And then from there, I just rolled it into a small commercial career and continued making independent films and found different financing methods and kind of continued my career from there.
Wait, so how old were you when you got into the car accident?
I was 22.
22, and you're
now I'm 35.
Oh man, you look like you're 25.
Thank you. I mean, thank you. Yeah.
Hey, it's the industry, right? So you're 22, you get into an accident. Well, walk me through that process. Like, did you think, oh shit, this is what's going to happen? Or like,
I thought I was going to be fucked. I mean, when you're 22, you only have so much life experience, right? And the only life experience or understanding of car accidents that I had at that period of time was my father getting into a car accident when he was younger, and it really fucking up his trajectory and his back, and he had issues. And, there was an accident on the 101 freeway here, and I slammed brakes, to avoid the accident in front of me. And maybe 2 minutes after the accident, somebody just rammed me from behind as I was just watching from my car. And so it was quite bad. I mean, somebody hit me at like 70, 80 miles an hour from behind. And I remember at the time I was laid up in a hospital bed for just like a couple hours. But I remember thinking, they took me the in the ambulance and all that, and ultimately I just remember thinking like, wow, is my life gonna be changed forever? Am I gonna be like this weird, I got a back problem guy, can't do this, can't do that? And as soon as I recovered, I just realized, life is short. I may be 22, but if I want to make my mark in life and in this business of entertainment, I better start doing it now. And as soon as I got that check, which it wasn't a lot of money, but I took the money and I put it with a buddy of mine, and we made our first flick, and we rolled it from there.
Now walk me through that process, bro, because a lot of people are 22 now listening to this, right? And
Yep.
they're thinking, I have a little bit saved up. I have a passion project I want to work on. They don't know what they want to do. What was the thought process and logic there? Like, hey, you got this money. What made you bet and go all in on the project? Because that industry, man, is extremely competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. So also there was an added pressure. I'm Canadian citizen, and I was out here on a visa for a short period of time. After the car accident, my visa had expired, and technically I wasn't even allowed to leave the country at the time. Now I'm all sorted, right? But
Wow.
yeah, so I couldn't work. All I could do was like grinder jobs and shit, and I figured, all right, while I'm here, if I can't get a regular job, I'm just gonna fucking bull through. I don't know if I can swear on here.
You're good, man.
Apologies to the audience if anyone's offended. Yeah, no, and I just figured like, fuck it, this is the move. And I was doing like some promotional work at the time, and there was a company that had some camera equipment, and I just thought to myself, I bet you I can convince this guy to let me use his camera, and I can get started on this movie. And again, to answer your question directly, what I would recommend to a 22-year-old kid who wants to get into filmmaking or entertainment is go work for a big entity, because I believe that now I wouldn't change anything, right, in my life, in my career. However, if I was to advise someone, I would say get a job, some entry level position in a large entity like a Warner Brothers, a Fox, a Universal, and make first and foremost the connections, right? Because connections are very important in this business. Get a baseline understanding of all the different roles and angles, and when you're in a big corporate system, you can utilize their infrastructure to grow at an excelled pace, right? And you can learn by watching on the sidelines for a few years, so that when you do have that opportunity, and it's also, it's not an easy road, bro. Like I had to make 3 movies where I just grinded, worked my face off for years until I saw any type of sunshine, and the sunshine wasn't even sunshine. It was just like, oh, here, boy, have a cup of water. You know what I mean? Like it was not an easy road. And I just think tapping in with a big infrastructure will excel. And I wonder sometimes, had I had the opportunity to work in the studio system, if I would have eventually branched out independently, and where and how fast I could have grown through that. But I don't regret anything.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of gems there to take in. But one thing I want to touch on there is, so you did the first project. You're 22 years old.
Yep.
What happened to that project?
So we released it through a company called Maverick Entertainment, and we pretty much made our money back. And it didn't do much for me, but what it did do was it showed people in the industry that, and I was 23 at the time when it released, it showed people that, oh, okay, this guy knows what he's doing with a camera. Because a lot of people can talk it, a lot of people can say, I'm talented, I know what I'm doing, I'm a filmmaker. But unless you prove it, unless you create something, then you're just like anyone else, that sits there and says they're this, that, and the third. So it gave me the ability to show people my work, and I hooked up with a commercial producer, and he started throwing me a bone on different large-scale commercial productions, and then I started shooting a bunch of like web series stuff when it first came out, and some television-orientated stuff, but eventually, and I kind of got, you get lost in that because all of a sudden or at least for me, all of a sudden I found a way for me to really start making an income, right? Which was always part of my equation, right? Is I wanted to do what I loved but get paid for it, and you can do what you love and get paid for it quicker doing commercial work than you can as an independent filmmaker. And but what I learned after doing that for a couple of years, as I was still trying to figure out my next movie or in the process of doing another movie, I realized that it was almost bleeding me of my original excitement for the business, right? So commercial work is different because there's most of the time there's agencies involved that represents the brand, and yeah, they hire a director, but you're just like a shooter for hire. You're not like, sometimes they sit there and they breathe over your neck and they tell you do this and do that. And I got to a point where I was not excited to go to set every day. And I thought, well, that's not going to work, you know? And thankfully in the process, you know, I'm also an independent businessman. And thankfully in the process, there was an option for me to get into a new business that was kind of like a side business that would feed my pursuit as an independent filmmaker. So I transitioned certain efforts into that side business at the time as I continued on making independent films, which in a lot of ways, having that extra side business income and knowing that I didn't need to really make money in the process of making the independent films allowed me to make every deal of mine equity based, right? So that I wasn't looking for money. So if I was putting together a deal, I was looking for back end always, which again helped me to stay focused and helped me to have integrity in my pursuit, you know, because as an independent filmmaker, if you're struggling, you can lose your integrity for the art. You can lose your integrity for what you're creating. And I think the fact that you know, I wouldn't call it, you know, living to an extreme, but the fact that I had a baseline of income from that other business gave me gave me a baseline to make the right decisions.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to, man. You just hit the nail on the head with the decisions and the fact that you didn't rely on it. Like, I feel like there's a difference between passions, which you can have, but also you have to make money, right? You have to support your
Absolutely.
family, whatever. You have expenses. Expenses don't go away. So you might want to go to the NBA, but Mark Cuban always talks about it. You also have to find a fusion between your passion and making money and seeing what's realistic.
That's right. Yep, absolutely.
So let me ask you this. You're in your 20s. Had it not been for the side business, do you think you could have made enough income from the films,
Oh
or
yeah.
is it hard to look at it
Had
like?
it not been for the side business, I would have been forced to continue on in the commercial side of things. So I would have inevitably just done more commercials, and you know, I probably, possibly lost an essence of my passion for filmmaking in the process. Because what I found was I was almost like losing my soul, if that makes sense, right? So like you have or I believe that I have a certain particular set of instincts as a filmmaker, and what those instincts are what makes me special as a director, right? Because I see things in a different way, in a different lens, and if you get caught up in doing a certain format of content, that those instincts can be diminished, and that's what I feared the most, was not only that I was less excited to go to set, but my instincts were being rewired. So that's something that I try and ultimately protect even till this day. Is I try not to absorb things that I think are not in line with my thought. You know, like if you watch too much junk, your mental is going to be junk, right? Or if you do too much junk, your output is going to be junk. You are what you are around, and you absorb. So it just would have been another life course, and I probably would have found something else, right? Because I've always been a hustler. I've always been a guy who could find a way through certain things, and so yeah, that's that's probably how things would have played out. Who knows?
Tell me about a time where you were working on a movie. It was amazing, right? The plot, you had the right actors, everything seemed dope, and the movie completely failed. If you had that.
Yeah, so I had that. There was a film that we made. Oh, man, fuck. I guess I could talk about it publicly. I mean, it is what it is. There was there was a film we made called Never Heard, starring David Banner, Romeo Miller, Karuchi Tran, Master P. I mean, it was
What's going
supposed
on, guys? Welcome back to the
Robin
More We Know
Gibbons. It was supposed
podcast.
to
My
be a
name is
hit.
Mir, your
The
host.
script
The More
was
We Know
great.
podcast is a
The
mentorship
cast was
platform.
great.
So
The movie
instead of
was
just thinking of a
great.
podcast where you interview
And
people, I've launched a mentorship
I
platform to provide you
learned
real life
with
mentorship
each
from around the
movie,
world. So whoever
I
you are, wherever you
learn
are, whether you have
more
money, you don't
and
have money,
more
whether you
and
have a job,
more
don't have a
about
job,
my
whether you're in school,
business on a
aren't in
different level
school,
every single
we
time.
bring you real mentors in your pocket
And
to learn
prior
from
to
them so
that,
you could make those
I
changes you need in your
had
life and make
a
it
few
accessible for
wins in a
everyone.
row,
So today's
right?
episode is
So it
number
was getting
30. It's our
easier
30th
for me.
mentor.
And if you have a
The
few
YouTube
wins in a
videos are a
row
little
at
bit behind on
something,
the
you
actual
figure, okay,
podcast
cool.
on
I just
Apple
need
and
to do it on a
Spotify, but
bigger
you can always
scale.
stay
I
up to
just need
date
to
on
do it on
Apple
a
and
bigger
Spotify. But
scale,
the guest
and you
today
can
is Josh
scale
Weber.
up.
So if you haven't heard who he is, look him up on Google. He's a Canadian award-winning
What is something
independent
that I guess I
filmmaker. He's
always
also a
have known,
director, a
but I
producer, a
learned a hard
screenwriter.
lesson on with that
Recently, there was
film,
some drama going on with
is
him and that legendary guy
distribution
Dame
is so
Dash,
important. You
which
can
the
cook up
lawsuit,
a
and he actually
phenomenal
won the lawsuit. And
movie
in this
with
podcast, he dives into
stars
that,
in the right
which could be a good
market and
educational
hit
piece
that
for you
shit
guys,
right on the
especially if you're ever
head.
involved in a
But if
lawsuit, to
you
learn
release
from
it
stuff like
with
this
the
so you can
wrong
educate yourself. So
distribution
if you guys
partners,
enjoyed
you're
this
going to get
content,
railed.
please like,
And
comment,
that's something
subscribe,
that I
and join the
had
community because it really
known,
incentivizes
but I
me to
forgot
continue
in
building
the
something like this if I
process
know that there's
of
people in
the
the community
release of
doing it
that
with me.
picture.
So
So
thank you guys so
that
much.
would be one
The
that
more we
I
know, the
say.
more we
I mean,
grow.
I
See you
didn't
guys
take
in
an
this episode right
L
now.
because it is what it is. We ultimately licensed it to Netflix. We made some money on it, but it wasn't what it should have been, man. It should have been fucking $74 million in war room territory. It should have been like a big hit. We should have, and I bled for that movie, bro. I fucking, I even, at the time, I was shaky financially because that side business that I was talking about I was having some issues with it. And it got cut off for a period of time. So although I had a little nest egg, I couldn't rely on the cash flow anymore. And I found myself for that movie.
Cash is king.
Well, yeah, cash is king, absolutely. And I found myself for that movie dipping into credit cards and lines of credit that put me to a place where I was all hocked up to the moon on high interest debt. And so when I was looking for a deal, I was scrambling.
So, Josh, that you just threw some gems right there. That was really amazing. I appreciate that. I wanna switch the gears a little bit. We've been going for almost 20 minutes now. Recently, you got a lot of press, right? I've seen you. There was TMZ articles. You got into it with Dame Dash. There was this whole lawsuit going on. What exactly happened with this Dame Dash? See it on TMZ situation lawsuit.
That was we did a project together roughly end of 2016 where we worked together, and unfortunately during the process of our working together he was fired from the production. It was something where they brought me on board as a producer, and then at one point they pretty much asked me, they said, look, can you ghost direct for this guy? He's first time filmmaker, like real first time filmmaker type thing. And I was all for it. Listen, when I grew up, Rockefeller was the company, and Dame was the man, so I was excited for the opportunity to work with him. And in the process, he couldn't keep his cool. And the guy who was putting up the money for the movie, he got into a big fight with him. And ultimately the guy came to me, and he said, well, what are my options here? I said, well, you can go diplomatic or you can go nuclear. And he said, what's diplomatic? I said, diplomatic is I can get on a call and try and sort things out, or you can go nuclear and just kind of keep it moving, and continue on with the movie and release it. And he was quite adamant. Fuck that guy. He shared some confidential things with me from a business standpoint, and from like just a uh, from a ethics standpoint as well, which really swayed, again, like my initial thought was diplomatic. You know, like I liked Dame, you know, and although he's brash and can become offensive and stuff, I saw his marketability, and I liked the, you know, I'm not looking to make enemies with anyone. So if there's a diplomatic approach that I can take, I'll take it all day. And you know, but at the end of the day, this guy, especially when he shared certain things with me, I realized why he was so adamant to go a nuclear standpoint, and at the end of the day, we were boys. So I said, "Cool, you want to rock that way? Let's go." You know, and then as we got close to the release of the film, Dame popped out the shadows, and he put my face up on his Instagram, and he was calling me a snake and saying I'm a this, I'm a that, and blah blah blah, and you know, that was the first time I ever went through anything on the internet, because you know I'm a filmmaker, so I'm in the shadows, right? And I'm not looking for that spotlight. And if it comes, it comes. It is what it is, right? But this was the first time that I ever faced the adversity of people on the internet. You know, just ultimate hate. I was getting death threats, all types of shit. And it was a learning
Wow.
lesson. It was a curve. It was something where I said, okay, cool. This is the world, you know. And if I'm going down a certain road, I'm gonna have to get comfortable with that. But then it got to a point where this guy thought it would be the correct move. I don't know why, in his fucking heart of hearts, when he realized that, you know, we were within our rights, and the owner of the movie was in his right to fire him and keep, you know, it just is what it is. This guy had the nerve to put up a video of some 8-year-old girl that's talking about some other movie that's got nothing to do with me, never mentions my name or nothing. But he writes in the, you know, people, they might see a video but not listen to the audio, right? And he put in the caption that I had robbed it was a 7-year-old girl or something like that. He said, Josh Weber's out here robbing 7-year-old girls and blah, blah, blah. Like literally just an outright lie. Just, I'd never met this girl in my life. You know, like it was mind boggling to me. And at that point I said, and at that point, I mean, reporters were reaching out to me saying, "Oh, we're gonna write a story on this." I said, "Dude, I gotta, you know, there's only so much that I can sit back and take the online defamation and slander on my name to the point where I was like, okay, I gotta defend myself, you know." And so, you know, we were pursuing the process of, you know, he was trying to represent the rights to the film to different distributors. He was doing all types of shit. And we took him to court. It was a 3-year battle, and in the process, we just got a judgment, $805,000. So, if you're watching this, go fuck yourself, pretty boy.
Josh got that New York, New Jersey in you.
Yeah, exactly. I
So,
lived in New York
so
for a little while.
I feel that, man. So man, what an amazing story. I think what's amazing about it is the fact that, at least what I learned from this podcast, just listening to you talk, is your intentions. You have this pure intention. You're trying to do good, make a living, and make an impact and leave a legacy. So you get into it with Dame Dash, and Dame Dash is notorious on social media as like tough guy, entrepreneur. He's really rich, this, that, and the third. Dame Dash tries to quote unquote expose you, and all these articles go on TMZ. You win the lawsuit 3 years later. What was that feeling like?
Liberating, because, you know, now I always knew we were going to win because it's all above board, right? So like he could sit there and make up whatever fucking fake narrative that he wanted in his life, or blah blah blah, this, that, and the third. He tried to make it about a race thing. He tried to be like, oh, I'm a culture vulture, don't stand with the white man or some shit. People who know me know me. It is what, you know, it's not it's there's none of that over here. Even the actors all stood by us, you know, and they told their story. And you know, to beat a guy like that in a public forum is quite liberating, because, you know, he made it quite public, our dispute, you know, with total disregard to the truth. And you know, I remember the feeling and thinking, oh boy, you know, like I can't believe that I found myself in this situation, when at the end of the day, I was, you know, I was really, I tried to help this guy revive his career. he used to be the man in the early 2000s, and he's not the man anymore. And you know, had he took a little ego check, you know, and maybe listen. I still believe in the beauty of his future. Maybe he'll find the success he's looking for. I wish him nothing but the best. And I look forward to my check cashing. So it's all good.
Hey, the cash is coming in. Qualcomm,
Yeah.
baby. So what do you think my audience can take away from this in general? Because we're going to deal with disputes in our life all the time. We're going to deal with
I'll
people
tell you
lying on
what
our
it
name.
is. As a Gen Z, as you know, like we're like, cause I'm still, yeah, I'm 35, right? But I'm young and hungry as ever, bro. You know, and I got a long career ahead of me. I got another fucking 50 some odd years of banging with these dudes, right? Is what I would take from that is don't let any of these fuckers try and push you around or disrespect you. You know, like there are times where you find yourself in a situation and somebody with a little more prestige or a little more know-how or experience tries to get on their high horse and disrespect you, or tries to put you in a situation of, you know, uncomfort. See, Dame thought that he was going to push the legal side and it was going to scare me somehow. You know, he would send me messages and be like, "Oh, I'm going to mop the floor with you," and blah blah blah. And this, you have to have confidence in yourself, and you know, don't let people try and play you just because you're young and less experienced. Have strength in your walk, have strength in your talk and your ideas and your thoughts, and believe in your ability to overcome any situation, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, look, I love that, man. That's just such a gem right there to tell the audience and for them to understand that, you know, this is going to happen and don't let people walk over you, man. It's a cold world.
And here's what I realized is like there's this taboo concept of business, in business, of legal, of lawsuit. I don't want to have to sue somebody. I'll sue. Get comfortable with it. Legal is part of business. You know, if you're doing real business, you're gonna have to sue somebody. Somebody's gonna try and sue you. Somebody's gonna try and paint a narrative of this, paint a narrative of that. Just look what just happened with the Johnny Depp situation and Amber Heard. Listen, you think he wanted to go fucking 4 weeks out and airing his public laundry and shit? And at the end of the day, you got to. It's the iron fist. You got to show people sometime. That's why there's a legal system. You got to show people sometimes. Listen, hey, don't fuck with me. You know, and it's important. I think it's important in all aspects of business for people to know that you have business acumen, for people to know that if they play with you on one side of the coin, that you're not afraid to go certain routes with things, and protect what's yours. You know, don't like I think I think people at all ages and stages, at all lifes, walks of life, there are times where maybe that battle seems a little too tough, right? And or it seems insignificant to you, right? And you're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna roll over, right? Don't roll over. Fuck those. Let those people roll over. You know, really, very much so. Because if you're right, if you're wrong, roll over. It is what it is. You're wrong. Keep moving. Don't waste your time. But I believe that the benefit that we have from a youth perspective is right now we have the energy, and we have the energy and the grind to outwork someone, to say, okay, cool, I'm going to turn it on. And so use your energy. You may have less experience, but you have a plethora of energy. You may have less experience, but you have the beauty of not having experience. Sometimes your experience can tell you not to do something because you've done it before and you know how hard that road may be. But sometimes a naive perspective on a situation can produce a miracle. You can find yourself in a situation where, the experienced would have never gone down that road, but the inexperienced went down it. They got some cuts and some bruises, but they came out successful. So, and I also say this is, there's no one path to it, right? So there's no one cookie cutter way to find your success, and just trust your instincts and know that if it flows, it goes. If it's not flowing, fucking, you can pivot. You can move a different way. You will find your correct route that's meant for you. Just stay true and honest and have integrity in business, and be a stand-up guy and let people know that you are, and you'll find your way in any field of business.
That's why I have no doubt, man, that you're just going to continue to crush it. Like, you're only 35. You got the world your oyster, and you can still come in there and make
Hey,
a
I got big
killing.
dreams, bro. I want to take over the fucking Transformers franchise. I want to do all that. I got big boy dreams. So I'm still climbing.
And you know what it is? I don't forget your work ethic for a second. It's the fact that you can deal with stuff like legal. You can deal with the mismatch. You can deal with that stuff and still wake up with a freaking smile on your face. That's what's tough for people to do.
Yeah, no, I'm a happy gorilla.
Yeah, like that's what I love about you, man. Even like today, even in this podcast, little things like that, like the camera going out, we still figure it out and still keep bouncing and just move on with this stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of gems that were dropped.
Yeah, life is too blessed not to be happy at every moment. I'm fucking forever blessed, in every way possible, right? So I have a great excitement for life, but I've also learned, like, I don't let things bother me. I really don't, because and that's one of my secrets as a filmmaker as well. Anyone who knows me, most directors might be stressed out on set and they're freaking out. I flow with it. I want people to be happy. I want to have fun. I want to be smiling, because at the end of the day, it's just, life is short, and you gotta enjoy it. You can't let your impatience or your emotions get you outside of your character. Like, enjoy it. Life is short, man. It's not about getting angry over little things, or stay positive. Positivity breeds success.
Positivity breeds success, and a lot of us needed that refresher there. So I appreciate that. So 35 years old now, what would you tell the 22-year-old filmmaker Josh Weber?
What if I had? How long would I have with him?
You have an hour with him. What's the crash course for him? He's young, naive filmmaker, just got his money, knowing what you know now, a decade plus.
I would say, what would I try and have him avoid? I would tell him to spend a little more time with his grandfather. A little more time with his grandfather, because I lost him. I made a documentary project about that, thankfully. But and we learn this as we grow, right? Is like, there's people in your life that you love, that you learn things from, that you can learn more from, and life moves on. You get busy, and you're like, all right, cool, I'll see you. And a year turns into 2 years or 3 years, and if they're old or if they're not old, sometimes they disappear on you, and you look back and you're like, fuck, man, I wish I would have spent. So I wish I would have done that. I don't know how. See, I don't know how much I would have told him, because I like how it all played out, right? So you grow from your mistakes, you grow from your trials and tribulations. So oh, you know what? Here's what I would tell him. Here's what I would say. This is a fucking gem. This is a gem. Young Josh Weber, you listen, right? I would tell him it's more important to show your talent as an artist than your ability to produce and create. And what I mean by that is, in my business, it took me a long time to understand that if you have the secret sauce within you, show it. Find any which way to show it. And I was more obsessed with the idea of productivity, and I was more obsessed with the idea of, like, let me just get it done. Let me just conquer this. Let me just find a way to make this thing, because I never had any substantial amount of money to create the art. But what I would have told me is, slow it down, put your best foot forward, and show the world your unique strength, which is your ability to, which is your beautiful mind, which is your ability to create what you know. For years, I was fucking running around town making movies, hopping on one foot with both hands tied behind my back and a fucking blindfold, and powering through it. And I never put myself in the position to show my best work or what my best work was at the time. It was always about, all right, let me just find a way to make this thing happen, because making it happen was the unachievable. But it's more important to, if you have it, if you know something, like I always knew I had it, but I didn't realize how important it was. And recently, I've been exploring that through my upcoming film Isaac, and I look forward to showing the world what they've been missing this whole time.
And Josh, tell us, man, you've been giving us gems for almost an hour now. You are our mentor today. We've brought on, the more we know, we brought on mayors, we brought on billion-dollar founders, but we never really brought on such an award-winning filmmaker like yourself. So appreciate that. But where can people just listening right now watch your films?
Oh, you can just Google me, and there'll be a link, or you can go on Amazon. You can type in my name, a bunch of different movies that I've done. I've done about like 9 titles at this point. If you're looking for a good cry and some inspiration, watch my film There Is Many Like Us. Again, if you're looking for just a great watch my film Never Heard. Isaac's coming up. We got Dear Frank releasing, which was the Dame Dash flick. We haven't formally released it just
that one.
yet.
That one has little Dirk in it.
It's got Little Dirk in it. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Chicago, man.
Chicago, Chi-Town.
And how'd you get that? How'd you get that? By the way, I'm just curious. The podcasts are always just unfiltered and go out.
That was through Dame. Dame did a music video with him the day before. I guess they were chopping it up. He was like, "Come on out, I'm doing this movie." He came through with his 2 managers there, and it was quick. It was like an hour in and out. Plopped him in a scene, and it was gone.
Awesome. And I got to ask you, man, I appreciate your time, but I got to ask you this because I think this can benefit the audience too. What do you look for in a movie when you're making a movie? What's the criteria?
When I'm directing a movie?
Yeah, when you're directing a movie and you're a filmmaker obviously, but what's the criteria look like for
the script? I got to have passion for the story. It's got to grab me. And it really starts with the script for me. And that's also another thing that I would tell young Josh Weber is don't fix the scripts. Find a great script and work off of that, because you're so much. For years, I was fixing scripts as I was making the movie, and listen, it's you got to start on the right foundation, and I would also say that watch for red flags in doing business with people. People will show you how they will conduct business with you either before or during your business. And when you see those red flags, don't overlook them, because it's not going to lead to a beautiful relationship. And that's in business and in life, right? So like if people disrespect you, they're going to continue to disrespectful. If people are sneaky with you, they're going to continue to be sneaky with you, right? So like realize that it's the beauty of the universe when those things are shown. And so recognize them, because in many relationships and in business and in life, there were things that were shown to me, and either I assumed things could get better or things could improve, or I could. But there are the perfect people and businesses and partners out there that will complement your efforts, and know that you can't force the universe, and it'll happen at the right time in the right way with the right people.
And what about actors and actresses? Like when you're filming, you've had the pleasure of seeing some of the greats, some up and coming people. What do you look for in an actor and an actress?
Passion, determination, grit. But I also realize that I become inspired by great talent. So, when I find that I am matched with talent of the same caliber, I get excited. That's when we're making cinema. When there is somebody on the other side of that screen who's really pouring their heart out and taking their craft serious. I want to work with people who are serious. I want to work with people who have the same dreams and aspirations as me. and are willing to put in the work and the effort and the care into the work.
And now, Josh, appreciate all that, brother. That's a lot of gems there. What's the biggest takeaway you could give the audience here today? Again, you're one of the first filmmakers on the podcast. Usually, it's in the business or government or whatever, or leadership. What's one thing you want to leave the audience here with today?
Man, the biggest takeaway is I know we are in interesting times, right? And I know that this is a wild world for anyone who's just getting started in life to be thrown into and to face. But realize that in great times of urgency and scarcity is great opportunity, and these are times more than ever where you should seek the opportunities that are out there for you, and you know and and find your best life in the storm, if that makes sense, right? So like certain things may determine um, what your life is right now, right? Certain things out of your control, but what you can control is your attitude towards it. You can say, okay, I'm living in a sewer and I'm fighting rats every day, but I could pop my head outside and sniff a flower and say hello to somebody at a Starbucks. You know, you find a way. Positivity breeds success. Stay positive, stay inspired, and realize that it is all out there for you. It really is. You know, and people say it, and they you know, there's a cliche about it, but it's truth. You know, if just find your sunshine and stay in it.
Man, that is Josh frickin' Weber, man, who is not only a friend and a brother, but a amazing filmmaker, but also a positive guy, man. Like I love that. I needed that personally.
Hey,
So if the audience is
thank
listening
you.
in, I needed that positivity, man.
Hey, I'm
So
listen.
that provides me a lot of man.
That gives me a lot of great joy to hear that. So I'm glad we had a chance to chat today.
So Josh, tell the people where they can find you and follow
All
you.
right, so I pretty much only use Instagram. You know, a lot of the tech shit is just a little overwhelming for me. So it's Josh A. Weber is my handle. You can go to my website, weberfilms.com, Weber with two B's, films with an S. Yeah, listen, if I can help you, I will help you, right? Like I'm that guy where if you know, which I probably do too much these days, to be honest. I have to figure something out because I've just kind of given away too much of my time and energy, and I don't want to be the guy who's like who doesn't respond, if that makes sense. It's hard to do. I mean, I imagine you struggle with it at times as well, but yeah, listen, is you know, hopefully I don't get 1,000 emails because of this, but you know, you could you could email me if I can help you. I help
Hey
you.
guys, don't flood him, man. Do not flood my guy, man. Don't ruin my relationship. No, I'm joking, but that's awesome, man. I appreciate that. We're looking forward to the movies you continue to drop, and thank you today for giving a different perspective just on life and positivity
Yeah.
and even the situation with Dame Dash, man. I was so pumped to talk about that, and it took such a different approach because I respect the fact that despite all that, you still gave the man his flowers in the podcast. Like you still said, man, it's all
It's
love. Like
yo,
that's character,
yeah.
man.
I don't like. I'm not like. He's mad at me for his own mistakes, and it's unfortunate. And I, you know, if it were up to me, I would take his money, and we can go run it back and do another movie together, and you know, make some money together. So,
Oh,
uh,
damn! Look at that,
yeah,
man.
it is what it is. But you know, he's too proud. He's a proud guy. So let him be proud. Cut the check and
Dame,
keep it
man, if
moving.
you're listening, man.
Yeah.
Hey, cut the check, keep it moving, right? Dame, if you're listening, bro, you should. The more we know, man,
Yeah.
you can learn something from
Well,
this.
listen, you could either.
Well, look, Josh,
Yeah,
I appreciate your time, bro.
absolutely. You got it.
No, no, hey, go, no, go ahead. I'm gonna say
No,
what you got to
I
say
was
there.
gonna say
You
you
gotta
could
throw that in there.
either look at something and treat it as a negative, or you can find the positive in it, right? And so uh, the it's a reality that would never take place, so it doesn't matter because it's obviously, it just is what it is.
But look,
Yeah, I'm always looking at the positive.
you took the
Yeah,
W.
I'm always looking at the positive. I'm always looking at the way to turn, and I like the way, like, another gem that I would say I would give you guys in coming up and growing in business is try to be fair, even when you hold all the cards not to be and all the reasons not to be. Is be fair with people, be fair with situations. Try to look at things from the other side of the coin and from the other person's perspective, because if you are fair, then the universe will treat you fair.
If you are fair, the universe will treat you fair, man. That's another gem from Josh Weber. Appreciate you coming on today, brother. Go follow him on Instagram.
Absolutely.
Go check out his movies. Go check out his website. Josh, thank you so much for your
bro.
time. This was amazing. Josh Weber, amazing filmmaker, is your mentor today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.